Hey everybody, welcome to the West Dakota Dad. My name is Cody. This is my podcast where we talk about faith, family, and life. This is episode number 19 with debt. So my wife and I, we have had this ultimate goal since we decided to start getting serious and talking about marriage and everything, that we had this goal that one day we would like to be debt-free. And so we started out before we were married. We paid off our own credit cards, to which now we have not carried a balance on since. And then once we were getting ready to get married, we cash flowed our wedding. We had a couple instances where we had to pause our debt snowball, I guess you could say, for our daughter, and when she was getting ready to be welcomed to this world. And then some various home improvement projects, we all cash flowed and everything. So we had quite a few pauses. I don't want to say that we were doing Dave Ramsey's plan because, one, we were not gazelle intense people, and we also wanted to make sure that we had our 3 to 6 months emergency fund saved prior to doing this, just because life happens, and it proves that it served its purpose when last year came and everything. But anyways, we have still been paying off our debt. We've paid off quite a bit of debt, and the next item on the list that we are a few pretty hefty payments away from completing is my student loans. And we have a goal for them to be paid off by April, I believe. And with this new administration in, there's been some pretty serious talk about student loan forgiveness for up to $10,000 per person. And so I felt conflicted. I was like, well, do I continue paying them off and not rely on the government? Or would I be foolish if the government passed it to not accept the, I guess, quote unquote, free money, which we all know it's not going to be free money. One way or another, I feel like as taxpayers, we will be paying it off either way. And so I felt conflicted that should I wait? Well, the other day I was listening to the Ramsey show, and Rachel Cruz and Dr. John Deloney were on it. And a guy had the exact question that I had. Should I pay him off, or should I see what happens and accept that student loan forgiveness when it comes through, if it comes through? And you probably guessed exactly what their answer was. They said, pay it off. And they had a couple different reasons for it. A couple of them were obviously, we don't know when that may be put into effect. It could be a couple years from now. 2, if it does get put into effect, will there be stipulations? Do you have to go through an application process? Will there have to be some sort of, whatever it might be in order to accept that? And so those were some of the, I guess, obvious. And then also the ball is in the government's court for your financial freedom. But one of the reasons really resonated with me. It said that, or Dr. John Deloney said, when you first signed up for this loan, you had a written agreement, a contract, basically saying that you will pay back this loan in full. There was never any question about, well, maybe one day the government will pay it off. I believe the only way you can get forgiveness when I first signed up for it is basically you would have to pass away, and then the loans would be forgiven. And I don't even know if that's the full terms and conditions of the loan, what they were. And so yeah, that one really hit home with me, and I started thinking about why I started to pay off my debt to begin with. I wanted to be financially free. I wanted to have that satisfaction that I knew how to handle money. And then I started thinking Well, the Bible has a lot to say about money. And so I have a couple verses here. We'll turn to the book of Proverbs, go to chapter 6, and we'll go to verse 35. It says, he will accept no compensation, nor be satisfied with a payoff of any size. So basically, I mean, I don't know my interpretation, which I know that's not always the perfect thing to do when reading the Bible. But I kind of see that as he will not accept kind of like a bailout. I don't know if that's synonymous with this verse, but that's what kind of it speaks to me. And I'm sure that others would have different ways of interpreting that, or what the actual theology behind it would be. But one thing that we can probably agree on is if we turn to chapter 22, and I've said these verses before, chapter 22, verses 6 and 7. And the reason why I like these two verses back to back is because I don't think it was an accident on how they were placed. Starting with verse 6, direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is servant to the lender. I like those back to back because, one, it first starts off with directing your children onto the right path. And then the very next one is talking about loans. So basically, you're teaching your children that the borrower is servant to the lender. Taking out loans is not a good thing. You travel further down in chapter 22 and go to verse 26. Don't agree to guarantee another person's debt or put up security for someone else. Same lines of, that'd be like co-signing is what I would look at that as. You sign your name so a person can take out a loan. You're guaranteeing their debt. And so when I look at those verses, I think there's some very big teachable moments for my daughter. If I were to, this is me speaking, this is not saying that this is for everyone, but for me, if I was to accept student loan forgiveness, what would that teach my daughter? Some would say, well, you're accepting help. Okay, I don't have a problem with accepting help, but there are certain things when I have a goal in mind that I am capable of achieving, I would like to achieve that for my own personal satisfaction, for my family's satisfaction. Me and my wife both have this very strong sense of accomplishment when we can achieve things on our own. Again, not that we won't accept help from other people, but in this aspect, this is what we like to do on our own. And so if we accept those loans, that would be going against kind of what we preach. And so I want to help teach my daughter that if you're able to achieve something, you have a goal for something, then you need to accomplish it. You need to follow through with your promises and whatnot, promises to pay back. So that was another reason to want to pay off my student loans instead of letting the ball be in the government's court and not being in control of your financial situation. Then we're going to turn to Galatians chapter 6, and we're going to start with verse 4 here. Pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else, for we are each responsible for our own conduct. I feel like I am responsible for paying off my own student loans. The fact that we were able to pay off my wife's student loans, she got this email, and as soon as she opened it, there was like confetti flying in the air that said, "Congratulations on paying off your student loans." And I told my financial advisor, I was like, I want that email. And then I thought about it more. I was like, that email would not feel as good if somebody else finished that goal for me. And so I'm going to continue. We're going to make some big, hefty payments, and we're going to get those knocked out here very soon. So I can get that email, so I can have that satisfaction, that self-pride that I was able to accomplish this. And I shouldn't say I, because it is we. Me and my wife, we we have done this together. Without her, I would not be where I'm at today. And I think vice versa as well. So I apologize if I keep saying I. That's terrible for me, because it is a we thing. Even though it's my student loans that I took out and everything, we as a married couple are paying them back together. And that's about the teamwork right there. And that's another thing I think is a great teachable moment for my daughter. So that's kind of my thoughts on this whole issue. And if you had times that you were thinking about, if you're in the same boat as me and you're wondering, should I pay him off, or should I wait and see what kind of happens? I would encourage you, if you have a goal to pay him off, to go forth, accomplish that goal. It kind of goes with the saying of give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll never go hungry. I'm teaching my daughter and myself that once I'm able to accomplish this, then there's so much more I can do with my finances and our finances and our future and whatnot. So that's kind of what I had for today. I know it's another money topic, but it was something that really resonated with me on what path I should take. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And then again, if you are in a situation where that would help out, by all means, I wouldn't shun you for taking that out or accepting that student loan forgiveness. But for me, I just didn't want to rely on taxpayers paying my last way out to achieve my goal. So that's where I'm at. I hope you guys can somewhat agree. I'm sure some of you don't agree, and that's okay. But for me and my family, that's kind of where we're at as far as that topic. And so I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. I hope it gave you a little bit of guidance if you are kind of on the fence where I was and everything. But anyways, thanks for listening. Until next time on the West Dakota Dad. Thanks for listening to the West Dakota Dad podcast. If you like what you heard, please drop a rating, share with your friends, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any content.